Hello, welcome to my weekly update. I hope everyone watching has had a great week. This week I would like to discuss the FDA's potential ban of NDT, or natural desiccated thyroid, Gordon Medical's new forum, and finally a brief update on my health progress. So first I'd like to start with the FDA's potential ban of NDT, or natural desiccated thyroid. You know, this past week I went down an enormous rabbit hole on this topic, trying to understand all the ins and outs of this situation. I'm actually looking forward to sharing some of it. So first, I want to start off by saying that ban, it's a very strong word, because technically what the FDA is trying to do is to reclassify NDT as a biologic. Unfortunately, what this means for manufacturers is that should they not get their product reclassified, it will no longer be on store shelves or available for order, and they will face the possibility of having to shut down. So first, before I dive in, I just want to take a minute to explain what NDT is, in case there's anyone watching that isn't aware. So NDT is natural desiccated thyroid. It is a medicine made from the thyroid glands from animals, typically pigs. It contains both T3 and T4 thyroid hormones and feels for some patients like a more natural option than the synthetic prescription thyroid hormones. For some people it tends to work better, others not so much. So, this medicine has been around since the 1890s, and it's been used in a safe and effective manner since then. So it's kind of ironic that the organization that's trying to regulate or restrict it is so much younger. But anyway, what the FDA is basically saying with all of this is that if you want to continue marketing NDT, it needs a valid biologics license, whether that is its own BLA, which is biologic license application, or the supplement to an existing one. On the surface, if you don't know much about this reclassification process like I did, it really doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Like you say, oh, well, it's just being reclassified, it's not going away, but that's not the case. This is actually a huge shift, because NDT has historically been classified as a drug under the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, not a biologic under the Public Health Service Act. Moving into the biologics category, it triggers a far more complex and extensive BLA pathway. This is the same process that's used for vaccines and gene therapy, meaning that it is incredibly rigorous, time-consuming, and insanely expensive. So the FDA originally decided on this reclassification back in 2022, with a deadline set for manufacturers to reclassify by 2029. They've changed the deadline though. So letters went out to manufacturers in August of 2025 saying that they were allowing 1 year grace period for patients to switch from the NDT product over to the synthetic prescription product. Now, what this means is that it makes compliance impossible, which is almost why it feels like a workaround ban. The cost of what the government is requiring for reclassification is literally in the tens of millions of dollars, if not more, when you factor in the cost of clinical trials, the application fee, and other compliance requirements. Now, that may be a drop in the bucket for companies like Big Pharma, but for some of these smaller family-owned manufacturing facilities, it's out of reach. These facilities, if this reclassification goes through, they face being shut down. Not to mention, clinical trials, while very, very expensive, also take anywhere from 6 to 10 years for approval. So with this new deadline, it's impossible to get through the clinical trial approval in time for this reclassification process. So with all of that being said, if you or someone that you know has been affected by this decision, please visit savendt.org, where you can learn how to become involved to help protect patient choice. I put a link down in the description. Next, Gordon Medical's new forum, along with the Peptides and Cutting Edge Treatments Summit. So I just purchased this summit and I am in love. I'm still kind of going through and watching all the interviews, but it's exactly like, I love learning about these cutting edge treatments and hearing people discuss them, because it just gives me so much hope. So this summit is everything from peptides to stem cells. It's just, so far, it's awesome. And I bought this summit courtesy of Gordon Medical's new forum, which is a space where both interviews and information about treatment of complex chronic illness are being shared. This includes guidelines for like peptide therapy for complex patients, detox information, and also information and summits available for purchase, both past and present. I really love what Gordon Medical has done here because they've created a space for both healthcare practitioners and also patients like myself to come to learn more about the treatment of complex chronic illness. And I think my favorite part about this is that they've done this stuff for years, so I can actually trust what they're saying, and that's just so difficult now. I mean, the internet is great because it has just a plethora of information, but then the internet also sucks because it has a plethora of information. A lot of times it's difficult to know what you should and should not believe, who you should follow, who you shouldn't follow. You have a lot of influencers, that kind of thing. It can be really difficult to know, especially when you've got these complex chronic cases that, for me, I was kicked around the medical system for close to 20 years. So I am extremely skeptical of who I should and shouldn't trust and who I should listen to. But I trust Gordon Medical. So I am thrilled with this forum. I am very much so looking forward to watching it grow. If you would like to visit the forum and check it out for yourself, the address is gordonmedicalforum.com. Finally, the last bit of stuff I want to talk about is something I don't want to talk about because I've been trying not to give it too much attention while I tried to maintain until I could get to a place where I could afford more treatment. And that is my GI situation. It's been getting progressively worse. It's, I guess, long story short, I've been dealing with pretty horrendous GI issues for about 10 years. It was triggered from living in toxic mold, which threw everything off. My immune system, also Lyme disease, parasites. I was in 2019, I was diagnosed with SIBO with a C. diff overgrowth and also exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. And for a long time, I had to take prescription pancreatic enzymes just so I could digest my food. I was in the emergency room for my GI issues. That was the first emergency room visit I ever made. I went through multiple general practitioners, gastroenterologists, naturopath, functional integrative doctors, none of which could solve my problems or really give me the whole picture of what was going on because, they missed so many diagnoses. So a lot of trauma behind my GI issues. I've been through a lot with it. It's really been a very painful and long road. So my GI symptoms have been getting worse. And I was kind of going over in my head the timeline of how all of this started to break down. And so right here, I was at rapid gut reset, rapid liver reset, and rapid parasite release. Those were the first treatment programs, or actually treatments that I had that actually worked for my GI issues. Because, man, I was really screwed up. But I knew, like here, when I left rapid parasite release, that I was nowhere close to being done. It's not that the programs didn't work. It's that I was just so screwed up. So I knew then that I had to, get another kit and keep going. But life kind of got in the way. I had a lot of life changes, it just gets that way sometimes. So it was just a general kind of really slow slope down because, I still had some parasites hanging out and my immune system and stress compromised all that. So it was a little difficult. But then I had the toxic mold re-exposure and I face planted. Like that's when everything got really bad. Yeah. So yeah, GI issues are just, they're getting worse. So, and the backsliding scares me and it makes me just really nervous because when you've been through the amount of medical trauma I have and that the system doesn't understand you, and when they don't understand you, it's unnecessary procedures, unnecessary treatments, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and it's just not something I want to go back to. So, but anyway, it's getting to the point now where it's getting bad enough that I need to get it checked out. So where I'm at right now is I'm taking about 6 grams of replacement stomach acids called betaine with meals, every meal. And I'm about to add lime juice. I was informed that it could help kind of with my GI issue. So I'm going to give it a shot. I haven't tried lime juice before. So I'm going to take that about 10 minutes after meals to see if it helps to kind of get things going. I've been having some new symptoms that never happened before, which is a bit So I've had psoriasis since I was a kid, just really mild though, just little tiny patches sometimes back here on the back of my scalp, that's it. But this past week it's exploded. So it's down my temples, down the sides of both sides of my head, all over the back of my scalp, and it's even started growing down onto my neck, which has never happened. Like I've never had it visible before like this. Like before filming, I had to cover up the red with makeup over here, and it just goes all the way back. Just so I know there's something not good going on with my GI tract or my liver. I definitely know that I need to, start treatment up again. Some of the old symptoms that have returned: bloating, stomach distension, slowed gut motility. I hate to say this, but my hair is falling out again, like a lot of it in the shower. I hate that. Chapped lips that also burn. I didn't know this, but apparently that's a sign of parasites. I learned it in these programs down here. So, everything is pointing to parasites, especially with that mold re-exposure. So it just sucks. These things were all a part of my day-to-day life again. I'm having also fatigue and kind of general unease, also pain, joint pain, intermittent. It's not all the time. It just kind of comes and goes for no reason. I can't explain it, but it's not fun. So in the next couple days, I see my general practitioner. I'll definitely say something to him, see if there's, I can get checked out just to make sure that things aren't progressing to that point where I'm going to end up in the emergency room again. That's really, I can't go through that again. And to be honest with you, with everything I've been through with all of this, the best option, the best outcome I can hope for is that he listens and he believes me, because conventional medicine doesn't quite understand the GI tract like they should. They'll run a test and then they'll see the test come back negative, and then they'll take that as the answer. And that's kind of how I got to this point, Yeah. So nervous about all of this, but I will handle it. But yeah, I might do like a round of ivermectin alongside some probiotics. I don't know. We'll see what he says. Well, anyway, I think that's it for this week. I'll see you next. Thank you. Bye.